Hey, look, life is not easy. Anything good worth having isn't easy, but add to that the complexity of being an entrepreneur, being married, having children. We have done a lot of things right. We made a few $1,000,000. We probably lost a few $1,000,000. We made some mistakes along the way, but one thing that we are really good at is relationships.
That's right. We have been together for almost 2 decades.
And we've been through hell and back together.
Yeah, we have. And we used to think that we were the only ones like us out there.
But, especially in our entrepreneurial ventures, we started meeting other ride or die couples that were going through the exact same things that we were going through. And they kept coming to us talking about advice and looking for solutions and really ways to help their relationship thrive. So we just knew there had to be a tribe of us out there. There's no way we could be the only ones out there.
We are getting real and raw, guys.
That's what he said.
Oh my God, babe. From dating to marriage to kids and even sex.
Even how to fight the right way.
We're going to be committed to being open and honest with you because we believe in your relationship too. Welcome to the Ride or Die podcast.
What's up, everybody? This week, we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about
We're edifying me today. I'm just in a funky mood.
Appreciating your wife.
I'm in a funky mood and I need the love. I need to get all the feels this morning, so Brandon is going to give it to me.
All right. Well, here we go. So this topic kind of came up because our schedule has been a little hectic, a little crazy. There's a lot
for the past 18 years.
Right. There's a lot to juggle. We've got work. We've got the kids. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. And I think it can.
Well, let's back up a second because I posted this thing yesterday about how I'm finally committed. I'm finally sick and tired of the way I see myself when I look in the mirror. So,
It's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. I mean, this is like, for me, and I've shared this before, for me, I'm the most out of shape. I'm eating okay, but I'm not moving enough. So, it still has its bad effects that way. So anywho, I posted this thing about getting back in the gym consistently so that I can start to get toned up again. And was there something specific I said? You won't get anything substantial done until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm there. I want my body back. And Brandon had said, your old body was hot, you're currently hot, looks like I'm winning either way, #blessed, which I didn't even like, sorry. I love that. And then a friend of ours said, best comment ever, you need to run a workshop or do some kind of be the best spouse you can be retreat or seminar, which I thought was adorable and made me laugh.
So be the best spouse that you can be.
So we're going to start the podcast.
I think people...
Let's talk about that.
Especially the guys will make comments like, well, if you want to trade places with me, if you want to go, to work and all I have to do is sit home with the kids and, cook and clean, you've got it easy.
Let's not get ahead of yourself. I mean, you're guilty of that as well.
In the past, I have not been like that in a very, very long time.
A couple months, maybe.
Shame on you. No way.
Most of the time, he doesn't. It's only when he gets a little bug up his butt or something, and he'll be like, well, then you work then, which I do. And that's the point is, I want the love today, so we're going to give it to me good and plenty. We do a lot of stuff as women, and Brandon, although I'm teasing him about a time or two that he may give me a hard time because he's having a bad day, he is very good the other 98% of the time at telling me how important I am to the house, how much I do for everybody under this roof, to a lot of the times where it can feel like I don't have any time for myself, I don't get anything done, carving out time to go get my pedicure seems too selfish, I just don't get things done. And so let's talk about that more. Tell me how amazing I am. And
well, this is an episode. Yes, we're going to edify you, but this is primarily for our viewers. So I want to make sure that they walk away with something that helps them look at their spouse a little bit differently, reminds them to do the right things so that their spouse feels appreciated and not devalued.
Here's the thing, whether you spend all day together or not, which for like over the last year, Brandon and I have spent a lot less time during the daytime than we had in previous years when we were like working on the same projects together. We're working on different projects right now. So that doesn't allow us to always be in each other's space like we used to be. We have to be a little bit more not only creative about the time that we do spend together, but we also have to be more understanding of what the other person is doing when they're not around each other, because you can almost take for granted the amount that like somebody does for the other person or sacrifices for the family, the house, whatever. I think we're gearing it a little bit more towards the women today, because I think women, especially the stay-at-home moms, can actually get overlooked a lot in how much they do. But let's, just, excuse me, throwing it out there that the guys definitely have their share of stress and work and stuff that they take on, especially in like high corporate positions or entrepreneurial work. Like those guys work so much and so hard. Like there's lots of hours that get put in, and then they have to like as women, we expect you guys to walk through the door and,
leave all that stuff at the office.
Leave that shit there and come in like totally ready to be super dad, super husband, and, just flip it on the drop of a dime. So,
which has been a lot easier to do for me this last few months.
That's it?
What?
Just the last few months? Mm-hmm. Like, life sucked before that, guys.
No, there was just a lot more stress previously than there has been lately, and you've been a huge help.
That's true, but you have also like not until more recently there was like a pocket where you were working with some really crappy people to work with, so it's understandable why you would bring home extra stress. Like if you're surrounding yourself around people you shouldn't be around or things that you don't want to be doing, and that goes a lot for the women as well. People I talk to, hang out with on a weekly basis, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty stretched thin. And part of that stretching is me not only doing a lot of stuff for us in the house and for the kids and everything, but also like in my friendships. I've been actively over the last, I think it's almost 3 years now, really decided I was going to put more effort into friendships and not be such a hermit. But that's time consuming. It's very time consuming. And then along the way, you might make a friend that you realize isn't really, worth your time. And I don't know any better way to say that except to just be blunt. You realize they're not really worth your time, and it's kind of a letdown because you invested time into somebody, and then you're like, ugh, this is not the friend I wanted. And, but then you get all these other little gems in between, but all that stuff takes time, including, let's talk about our day for a minute. You want to talk about it? Sure. I think you wanted to run through a little bit of what it looks like.
Sure, and then I got 3 things, and then we can wrap up. I know that we're pretty impactful for my perspective, and I think will be really helpful to them.
So here's the rundown.
A day in the life of the Middletons.
I guess it's really the day in the life of Sam Middleton. So we get up. Brayden's usually already up. He's already been up, worked on some stuff. It's like his little me time still. He's not getting up as early as he used to. I finally talked him out of that. It's just, for me, it's super unhealthy, and I think that's part of the reason that's helped in the house too, by the way. We'll talk about that on another podcast. But anyway, we get up, and it's basically like a mad dash for like an hour and change, getting the kids up, getting them fed, making lunches. And I mean lunches like, I make the kids' lunches, and I get Brandon's lunch and snacks and everything together, and I write them all their little notes, and I get them all ready. By the way, didn't barely have 2 sips of my coffee at this point, right? And then, which is good. I'm trying to cut back anyway. I get them ready. I get them off to school. He leaves to go to the office. I have to scramble to do anything during the day that I need to do. So if it's bills, errands, which seem kind of cheesy, but if they don't get done, you don't have power. And then, or if I am working with a client, I mean, doing real estate on the retail, like I'm a realtor, so doing real estate on the retail side is really time consuming. I only will take on a couple clients at a time to make sure that I have enough time to dedicate to them and enough time to dedicate to my family without everybody feeling overwhelmed or like they're getting shafted. So it's the way that it works for me, but it keeps me so busy. And then before you know it, it's time to pick up the kids, run them around to all their stuff, dance and soccer and all their
So I get home
after-school
around
things.
like 6 o'clock, unless it's Friday for soccer.
Then it's a mad
and-
dash to sit down and eat dinner.
Yep.
I gotta get dinner ready. We gotta eat dinner, make sure the kids don't kill each other, bathe them, and then we get just a little bit of time to eat dinner as a family, catch up from our day. We do our snuggle time, and then the kids go to bed. Like they have to be in bed early because they're up so early this year for school. So it's crazy. And then before you know it, it's like 9:30, and I'm like this. Trying to keep my eyes open. I feel so bad for Brandon some days. I'm like, I'm so
What
sorry.
most people-
Can't keep my eyes open. I'm so sorry.
That's the routine I think most people have.
That's the short of the long.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my day.
Okay.
You said do the rundown, and then you had some points. Why are you staring at me
'cause
like that?
It's. I mean, it doesn't sound like too much, but it's. You have a short window from when you drop them off at 7:30 till 2:30, 3. Like that's your whole workday. Like if
Pretty
you need to
much.
get something done, and so what things like take up time? Like laundry sounds super simple, which we really got to figure out how to get someone else to do our laundry because it's so time consuming. How long does like doing the 4 loads of laundry, putting it all away, like how long does that take?
I mean, it's not like I have to stand there and watch it wash, but it takes all day to do 4 loads of laundry.
Right. And if you don't stay on top of it, you have stinky mildew clothes. So.
Right. Think about it. It's a little
Or
over.
they're all
It's a
wrinkled.
little over an hour for each. It's like an hour. It's like 2.5 hours
Right.
total wash and dry. Then you got to pull it all out, put it all away. Is more time on top of it. Probably another half hour, 40 minutes per
Grocery
load.
shopping still takes time, even though we have it delivered. What else? What else you got around here?
I don't know. Stop putting me in the spot.
Paying
I'm
the-
squeezing in my workouts now.
Paying the bills, getting the kids, stuff for dance, or they always have some sort of theme going on at school, and you got to get supplies.
Keeping the house clean is like a full-time job in itself. I live with pigs.
Keeping it picked up. You don't scrub the floors and do all that stuff, but it's a
No,
lot.
but
to,
I vacuum like 3
toys
times
are
a week
everywhere.
in here.
Toys and laundry and all that stuff.
So I'm not scrubbing the toilets every day. I do like the big stuff like once a week, and then I don't even do the showers. We just have a cleaner come in like once every month or so.
We have this
but-
podcast, and we have the social media stuff that takes up your time.
Yeah.
Just stuff, right? Errand-wise comes
I mean,
up.
it's-
Like you've had a bunch of
You're making
paperwork.
me sound like I don't do a lot of
No,
stuff.
you've
now,
had a bunch
but
of-
I think I want it.
Paperwork that you've had to deal with for this most recent thing. We got.
Yeah, and like annoying little things like that end up taking forever. There's like
Right.
lots of back and forth with people, and it's hard because I'm very used to like if I need to sit down, I'm not the best at follow through. I'm really good at the idea creation, and then I kind of like to delegate it to everybody else. So like to have to follow through on things that sometimes I have to go back and forth a bunch of times. Woof! It like takes me time to get back into something when I'm interrupted.
Hey, that's how everybody is.
Oh, and managing all the people that have to come and fix the house and do things at the house, like that's really time consuming. Any other mom/wife that is at home and has to deal with that stuff would totally agree. That takes so much time. You gotta deal with the lawn guy, you gotta deal with this, you gotta deal with that. You naming all these jobs I have? Are you counting them on your fingers?
No, I'm thinking about the hours that you have. But
It's
anyway.
like I get from like 8 to 2 basically, because by the time, even though I have to leave earlier to drop off the kids, I'm not really like home and ready to do something until about 8. And then at 2, I have to start thinking about how I have to leave soon to pick them up. So my mind shuts off about 2.
Yep.
6 hours.
And then you're not done working once they get home. Obviously, now there's
No, then I kick into all the mom stuff. And
Right.
that's the thing. I've had to squeeze a lot more in to that time period that I used to do in the afternoons, because like last year I left the kids in aftercare a lot more often. Like now I'm not. Like I've really committed to why am I going to keep paying to put them somewhere with other people when I could have them home with me and be spending time with them And so
and their attitude changed so much more when they have time with
That's another
mom.
podcast in itself, like really dedicating time to your children and the massive impact that's made. We have to talk about it sometime. But
well, and they're just not as tired because they come home and they don't have so much of that. School is like lots of kids, lots of energy. It wears their butts out. But when they come home and it's just them, and sometimes they'll nap and sometimes they'll just veg.
They don't nap anymore.
Oh, that's recent.
I used to get more time.
Okay.
I used to get more time there too. I used to be able to
then
squeeze
cook
that
dinner.
nap in.
I at least wash the dishes, take out the trash. But
Most
there's
days.
a bunch. There's a bunch of stuff, and a day goes by quick, especially when you got all that stuff going on. So it can be very easy to be like whoever's responsible for the home. The person that's responsible for the work and finances can be like, oh, they don't have to do much, even though you are still working as a realtor, and you have work on top of those things that need to get done. It can be very easy to feel like the scales aren't even. But I promise you, when she has a closing and I gotta work from home and I gotta do all this stuff with the kids and the house, like it is a whole lot of work. I wouldn't want to trade places at all.
Well, thank you.
And I get to just focus
and then
on one
here's the
thing, except for on the weekends is when I do my like house stuff, the stuff that you can't or don't want to do. I do all of our budgeting on the weekend. I do work around the house, things that need to get fixed or ordered or whatever. Try to include the kids, so I'm working on the house on the weekend. But
I don't want to sound like everything I do is like a drag, though. Like I was like, we're trying to think of everything, and I'm like, oh, and then I do this and I do that. Like I actually enjoy what I do. I enjoy that I'm able to provide this all to my family. It's just a lot. So and that is, I think, one of the things that Brandon might hit on soon when he's talking about how appreciative he is of all the stuff. He just said like he wouldn't want to trade places because it's a lot of stuff, and it's funny. When I do, I literally have to leave you like an itinerary of what you need to do by what time, so that he doesn't screw it all up. Yeah, because you probably would. You'd be late to everything. They would miss everything. You would totally muck it all up. So, but because he's so appreciative, it helps me enjoy all these things more. Because like, I don't enjoy doing laundry at all. Like, I actually don't mind washing and drying it and pulling it out so it doesn't get wrinkled. But I can't stand putting it away. Sometimes I'll just leave it in the laundry room for like a week. I'm like, it's a room in a house that we don't need to go into. So what do I care? You know what I mean? But I do all these other things that Brandon's appreciative of, and he is constantly telling me how much he appreciates those things that I do. And it makes anything, like the yucky chores and all the fun stuff, it makes it all so much more worth it when I see the kids being appreciative of the amount that I'm running them around, or when they're enjoying their dance class or their soccer practice. Like, those are the types of things that make me go, yeah, this is why I do what I do. You're doing a sacrifice on a different level, like being at work busting your butt all the time financially for us, and then I'm busting my butt on all these things that don't really produce income, but they're just as important. Well, I mean, the real estate, being a realtor produces income, but it's the only thing, and it's not my full-time thing, so it's not a full-time income.
It's like
either.
our extra fun money, savings money.
Yeah.
We don't have to put that pressure on you to keep the lights on with that.
Right. I don't have to contribute to the bills, which is really a luxury.
All right, so let's get to the meat now. I've gone through this book that I highly recommend. It's called Warrior Black Book. And I'm looking at my notes here, and one of the things that helps like me always be present to the fact that Sam does do so much is, one, I know how important that is just mentally to always edify your spouse. And we've done a podcast before about positive like programming, like even if I miss the dishes one day or whatever, Sam would be like, I love that you always do the dishes. And even though I know I didn't do them, it reminds me like, oh yeah, I always do it. So I need to always do it. See how that works? We do it with the kids all the time. But there's a section of the book that's called Daily Deposits. And it talks about these 3, daily deposits. And I want to share them with you because I think if you can put them into practice, even just a few times a week, you'll start to see a really positive impact on your mentality, so you don't go down the negative route of, my spouse is complaining about this and that. They don't know how tough I have it. They don't know how hard I'm working, and you only do this. And, it gets to be that, like, me versus you crap. If you're thinking this way and speaking this way, it keeps your head in the right place, and then obviously it impacts your spouse. So 3 types of daily deposits. Number 1 is honor. Honor sounds like a big word, right? Honor is all about putting them up in an equal place and giving them respect for who they are and what they do. So I honor Sam because I know what she has to do. I know what sacrifices she's made in the last 18 years. I know what daily sacrifices she makes and all that good stuff. So do you have anything to say about putting each other in an equal place?
Yeah, what we've come to realize a lot over the, basically since the kids were born, because it really makes you see life so differently. Things were so much easier when it was just me and Brandon, and all we had to do was focus on ourselves. But now we have the kids too, and it's like, oh, okay, like you have to not only know what your own sacrifices are, but also understanding what your spouse's are as well. And that goes with the honor and respecting that everything is coming together to make you guys a unit. Because it's not like, here's the thing I think of when you're talking about like how guys can just be like, oh, all you have to do is sit around like all day long and pick up the kids. You do that for a week and tell me how much you love it. He could barely get through an afternoon before he's like, how long do I have to do this for? Like, what do I need to do? And it doesn't serve anybody to think on that negative scale about their spouse or their significant other, right? Like it doesn't serve you to
creates
like
animosity
to kind of like pass off that your partner is not equally contributing or somewhat contributing and pass it off like they don't do anything. It doesn't serve you guys. If anything, it's probably going to make her feel down. When I'm having a down day or a down moment, I probably just was not feeling appreciated as much as like I need to or I want to, or women go through spikes. They get PMS and they have hormones and they're raging sometimes, and like we need that support from our partners to be able to be motivated to continue doing the things that we're doing. And then it also goes the same scale on the other side with husbands. Like, it's no surprise why guys get drained in their in their work. Like you got so drained when you were doing the marketing for such a long time because you were only doing it because it was producing an income after a while. You weren't doing it because you were necessarily enjoying it. It was like he got really good at something and was continuing to do it because it was financially providing for us. But that was like draining work for you. And
yeah.
I probably didn't do the best. Like I supported you and said, whatever you want to do, like I got your back. But I don't think that I really supported you at the time in like I see how much you're sacrificing kind of way. I didn't really realize that until you were at a breaking point. You know what I mean? Where you're like, you really didn't like doing it anymore. And even then it was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, still got to make money. Go get the money. You know what I mean? So I know that added like a different kind of pressure. And looking back at those things now is like, oh, okay, had we handled that situation differently, which is what we do these days, we just handle it differently, right? You don't know until you're in those situations learning, but really understanding how much that other person does. All you have to do is sit down and have a simple conversation. What does your day actually look like? I mean, if they're like, oh, well, I got home and like turned on the TV for 11 hours and sat around eating bonbons all day, you'd probably be like, all right, we need to talk.
So the big thing with honor is looking at each other as equals. And I definitely had a time where, our business when we first started was just like negative, like most business starting up, like struggled like crazy. And then we finally start catching momentum and having really good years. And
I got a little high on your horse.
King Donkey Kong. was my my nickname, because it'd be there's still things to be, even when we had a bunch of money in the bank for the first time, it was like there were still things to fight about and argue about, and things that, Sam would be like, I want you around more often, give me more attention, whatever. And I'd be like, don't you see what I'm doing? Don't you look at what I'm producing? Like basically don't try to cut me down because I'm doing all this, and, all you have to worry about is this. You don't have to deal with the battles that I deal with. So that had us at a time where I wasn't honoring her, right? This was obviously before the kids too, and she did have less responsibilities. However, even if she had less responsibilities, it doesn't mean that I look at myself here and her here. Like, we are equal. We are on equal ground. So honor your spouse. It's super important. The next daily deposit is appreciation. So to add value to, I don't become the man I am today without the mirror of my queen. So think about that for a second. I send her texts and a picture a lot of the times to remind us of something in the past, or remind us of something she does. I know that I wouldn't have the freedom to have a family and do the things in business that I do. Something would sacrifice dramatically, right? I'd be the dad who's, producing but doesn't make it to the soccer games, or doesn't have the energy. I could show up and be at the places, but I wouldn't have the energy because I'd have to do all the other preparation stuff and, things that are involved with just raising, the kids and getting them ready for their activities and all those things. I would be drained and not be able to show up as a dad. So something would always sacrifice. So I appreciate everything that I have because of the role that she's played in helping us get to this place where we have a good balance. The kids are awesome. Our marriage is great. We get to do great things. Like, couldn't do that all by myself. I don't think you could do it all by yourself. So,
no, geez, I think we were just talking about that last night.
Appreciation mean to you?
So I'd be screwed if you weren't around.
What does the word appreciation mean to you? Or
well,
how
I think
do you
I hit that a little bit with honor, like really understanding like what the other person is providing, and like seeing that in a certain kind of way is definitely like dovetails with appreciation, just because, like and especially in the hard times or the bad times. Like, if I'm not having a good day, let's say the kids are just crazy one day, which is happening a lot less these days, but it still happens. So if they're being crazy, and then Brandon says, like, I'm going to be late today, like, those kind of things could, on a day-to-day, like, if I'm only focused on that one moment on that one day, it can really frustrate me. But if I think of the whole big picture and I choose appreciation over these things, like, as long as it's not happening all the time, I can appreciate that he's, got to wrap something up, or he's working hard, or whatever the heck he's doing. Like, the appreciation side of things goes a long way, just because that's what keeps you in like a good mental attitude towards things, whether they're coming your way as a win or coming your way as an obstacle that you need to overcome. I think appreciation is just what helps you keep a good mental attitude.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, love. The daily deposit of love. I think love can be, people have all different types of definitions of love, but the biggest thing with love is unconditional, right? We got a lot of relationships where people will be like, oh, I love you, and bro this and bro that. But the truth is, there's a lot of relationships that they may say that, but it's, this is how it was with a lot of my clients. It's like, what have you done for me lately? So there's this condition, and if you're helping me make money,
they were paying you. They should be like that.
If you're serving me, then I love you. But as soon as that stops, I don't love you anymore, right? Like, pretty much every single one of my clients, like, once we stop working together, like, no call, no text, no holiday videos, no nothing. Like, it just completely, like, because it was conditional. It wasn't conditional on my side. but it was conditional on their side, which sucks. But one relationship you don't want to have, it needs to be unconditional, is obviously with your spouse and your family. So he's got a part in this book that I'm just going to read because it's actually funny and true. It says, "Love means you give a shit, and yet love was a conditional conversation for me. In my marriage, if she was having sex with me, she loved me. If she was not having sex with me, she probably didn't love me." Guys, I'm sure you've been there. I know I was definitely there. I was immature, and that's really how I looked at love, right? If she wasn't hungry for it, I'd be like, well, now I want it more because I feel like you don't love me or you're holding out, and that obviously is not the case. So love is unconditional. So meaning when you make these daily deposits, it's very important that you do it with no expectation. I can tell you how many friends I have that started doing these texts in the morning, and they'll tell me like, oh, she didn't say anything, she didn't respond, I don't think I'm going to do it, it's not working. And I've told them like, no, you keep doing it. Do it, almost do it for you, regardless of what you get back, because she needs.
Well, and that's
to
the
know
thing.
that.
Are you doing that because you're expecting something back in return? Like, are you only doing that because you're like, okay, I send Sam a text and she doesn't send one back. Like, sometimes I just heart it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But am I expected to wake up and write you a novel back every day? Like, yep. I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose of you doing it for me, which is how I would see that situation, right? Or like, I would also think like, there's other things that I'm doing. Like, I make your lunch every day. You're not making my lunch in return, are you? Right. No, like, you do something different. You're sending me a text. I get your lunch ready. I feel like those are all little acts of services and little ways that we show our appreciation for each other and our love for each other on a daily basis. And that would drive me nuts if I had, like, well, we went through periods like that, but it would drive me nuts if you were still like that, where you were doing something only if I was returning something. That's not the way that it should be in a relationship. You should just be giving selflessly, because when you start to put expectations and you start to put conditions on loving each other, well, then, that starts to have a downhill effect where one person doesn't do something, so the other person stops, and then the other person stops because they stopped doing that. And it's like, can you see how that's already going in a bad direction? It's like, I feel like the man should, I'm a little old-fashioned. I may be outspoken, which is not old-fashioned, but I'm old-fashioned in a lot of ways. Like, chivalry never dies. I feel like the man should be the provider of the house. The woman should take care of the kids more in the family, because, like, not that a woman can't work, but I do firmly, after practicing it and putting it into practice in my own home, realize the importance of one parent investing time into children, not strangers being with your children all the time. And it's just from my personal experience. It could be flipped. I could be the provider and he could have done it, but this is just the role that we chose. So it doesn't mean that I'm saying it has to be the man that's the leader or whatever, but I do feel like the man should lead the house and the woman should lead alongside him. But at a certain point, like, I always feel like at the end of the day, one of us can easily argue how we started doing something that made the other person do something, but at the end of the day, I would just expect that if I wasn't doing it, it's his responsibility. He's the leader of the house. Like, you're the man. Come be the man. Come be my man. Come show me that love. Don't put any conditions on it, because why? It's not going to serve us to do that. I think that when we're serving each other, we're in a better spot than when we're not. So.
And this obviously works with any relationship that you want to invest in and you want to see improve. So if you've got, friends or, really close friends or people that, your relationship maybe has been conditional, make these daily deposits. Send them a text, or pick up the phone and give them a call, or, do something thinking of these things that we shared. So honor, appreciation, love, make those deposits with zero expectations. And what helps me is, I'm like a digital hoarder. So I've got 80,000+ pictures and videos since pretty much year one that we got together. And what I like to do is on the iPhone, it does a great job of keeping all those in the cloud, and I can just scroll to a specific year, or I could go back and I see a picture and it brings up those feelings. It brings up, that memory, and it helps me quickly get into a place where I remember what you may see a happy picture, but I remember, the struggle we were going through, and, how we weren't getting any sleep, or the clients I had at the time, and what business was like, and whatever. And it just reminds me, like, how much she's done, or what roles she played, or what sacrifices she was making at the time, or whatever. It just helps me think of those, honor, appreciation, and love very quickly, so I can write something without having to, like, Google, like, text to send your wife, that, like, it just comes straight from the heart. So use that to help you, like, go back through pictures or scroll through your timeline on social media and find those moments that help you remember. Because even if we had an argument the night before, or I'm not really feeling like it, seeing those memories that we've created puts me in that place where I can feel it, basically, right? So I can write something.
We should have that grace with each other anyway. Like, not every day is 100% perfect. Like, we're busy. There's a lot of things going on. Sometimes we feel drained. Heck, by about this time in the week, I'm pretty tired and I'm ready to, like, take a little break. But I know I got to push through till Sunday. Sunday's my only day off, and even then it's not. The kids need to, like, stay active and do something, or they go crazy. They get stir crazy. But yeah, like, I really don't. Especially since school started. I was really busy over the summer with the kids, and then it took on a whole new realm once they went back into school and all the fall, like, extracurriculars started. And they're real, like, I get Wednesday afternoons off. I have the kids still, but, like, there's no running around on Wednesday afternoon. I realize that's the only time which Peyton's already trying to fill with something else. And then Sunday, I refuse to put anything on Sundays unless it's a birthday party or something. But
right.
we literally go through, and we're literally going like that for, like, ever. Mm-hmm. But I'm positive about it. Yeah. I don't even think it's going to stop when they're 18. I think like, oh, eventually they're going to be old enough. We're going to get to travel more. Like, the thought of going to, like, Europe or something like that freaks me out, just being so far away. We just don't have, like, grandma can come over and stay with the kids for a week. We don't really have that. We've never been offered that kind of opportunity, so we haven't done it. Leaving them with babysitters for a whole week would make me nervous outside of the country. Mm-hmm. But man, I think even when we get to that point, I'm still going to worry about them. They're going to be in college, and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I hope they're okay. Yep. Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Should we call them? Blah, blah, blah. But I know eventually, I think I'll be okay. I don't know. I think I'll be okay. We'll see.
Cool.
I feel like a mom's job is never going to be done, so.
Anything else for them? I'm sure they got to get back to work or stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, just, like, go show some appreciation, love, and honor to your partner, and challenge yourself to sit down with them and talk about what your guys' routines look like, so that you can understand what their day looks like a little bit more, and you can, like, appreciate what they're doing more for the household, and really take the time to, like, think about that a little bit every day. I know when I'm having a good day, it's super easy to appreciate Brandon when I'm in a good mood. But, like, today I just kind of woke up funky, and I was like, we need to do that. He brought up this topic, and I was like, yes, we need to do that, because I'm kind of in a funk this morning, and I think it'll take me out of it, just, like, talking about that subject in itself.
Unfunctified her.
Well, and this is the type of stuff that we do all the time. People are like, how do you? Or things look like they're always so perfect on social media. And we're saying, well, things are really good. They're not always perfect, but this is an exact example of how we kind of get out of those funks. We just sit down and talk about them. So today we use that opportunity just on the podcast, but you could do this anytime.
Thanks for being a part of it.
Yeah, you could do this anytime and get yourself out of a funk just by sitting down and talking with your spouse. Mm-hmm. So thanks.
High five. All right. This has been another
I felt
episode
like-
of the Ride or Die Couples Podcast.
Is that even a good high five? It felt weird.
Subscribe. 2 high fives. Like, subscribe, share this with someone that you think needs to hear it. Maybe it's your spouse who's not watching or listening in. So,
Oh, we got to do a podcast on that too. How do you get your spouse to listen to a podcast when you've heard it and it triggers something and you're like, I really want you to hear this? Because I've had girlfriends say
I
like,
already got the answer.
oh, okay, well,
You
we'll
just
do that.
play it.
I just thought of like
you
5
just keep
topics.
it playing. Like, play it while you're in the shower and you know that they're close by. Play it while you're driving in the car. There's been a couple of things I've wanted you to listen to, and I've texted them to you, and then I know that you're not listening to them. So if it's like super important, we'll be driving, and I'll be like, I know you would rather listen to the radio right now, but you got to hear this, and it works.
As long as the kids aren't yelling in the back, because then I just shut the radio off completely. Music or podcast.
All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you next week for another episode. Later.
Bye.